Hey! Hello, I'm Dan Fogler, and you're watching InvestComics TV. This is my graphic novel, Moon Lake. Check it out.
Hi, this is Rick Osmond with InvestComics TV, and today I'm speaking with Mr. Larry Lewis, who is the creator and artist and writer and the only guy carrying a strip called Les and May. So, Larry, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Beautiful day.
It is. It's going to rain here, and I'm about 320 miles south of you. And you are in basically central southern Michigan, correct?
Right, Jackson, Michigan, midway between Detroit and Chicago.
My sympathies. No, actually, it's beautiful country up there. The strip, Les and May, has been around for, as of today, I believe it's number 270 of a daily strip, which is quite an accomplishment in my book. And you had mentioned during our preliminary stuff that you have probably 100 to 150 more waiting in the wings. And this, to me, is a high degree of dedication to your craft. Now, Les and May is basically some old people at retirement age, in this case, with these two, and all their problems, all of their situations are indeed what you might expect for someone in that crowd. How'd you come up with that?
Well, actually, I came up with the idea of doing a strip on older people, retirement age and up, 8 or 10 years ago, and submitted it to the syndicates. But it didn't sell. My excuse is that I was about 77 or 78 at the time, and who wants to sign up a contract with someone that old? You know, how long they're going to be around.
Well,
but anyway,
I think you're about the same age as Jim Davis, but go ahead.
Right. I discovered the webcomics about 2 years ago when I bought a computer. I stumbled upon webcomics and decided to resurrect the old strip. I changed the characters completely, brought it up to date, and something that was very helpful was this book, Making Webcomics, by 4 of the better cartoonists in the webcomic trade. And it goes through all of the essentials that you need to know to start a webcomic. And I found that very helpful, and decided to launch the strip as a webcomic.
Well, it's working. In my opinion, it's working very well. As I mentioned, as of today, which is May the 13th, Friday the 13th, I believe it's strip number 270. And it's basically Les and May have taken their grandson to a concert, and he's all into it, and they're all into earplugs. And this is very good timing because just last weekend I went to a rock concert with Bob Seger, who I've been a fan of Bob Seger for way too long. In excess of 42 years since his first record hit. And the day of the concert last weekend, Bob Seger was turning 65, but I don't think he's apt to retire really soon. He's making too good of money. At any rate, in the strip, both Les and May have hit retirement age. Les has been anxious to retire because it seems like he's not a truly work-brickle individual. And May, on the other hand, is a workaholic who was forced into retirement because her company wanted to. And this has given them some situations that I think are really quite good for the strip. And I have to congratulate you on adapting all this stuff. These are hard things for people in my age group, and yet you manage to make light of it in a way that people can deal with. How did you get that inspiration?
Well, just trying to keep up with the times and being topical, and well, that's about it. I just want. That's the main aim, is to be topical and up to date, something that that age group can relate to, or possibly even the people that are approaching that age group.
Yep. And you've hit on some of the key issues. These aren't just issues for older people. These are issues that affect everybody that almost nobody really thinks about. And again, important social issues, you're making light of it in such a way that it's like the editorial page cartoon, except it's a daily strip. And I have to say I admire that, which is why I invited you for this interview in the first place. So we're going to have to take just a little bitty break here to go try to pay some bills. And when we come back, we'll hit on some of the things that you want to portray in upcoming strips. Okay?
Sure.
All systems are functional.
I'm going to pass the reins to Mr. Jackal, the new king of radio.
Is there life on other planets?
This is nuclear physicist Stanton Friedman, and now I'm a voice in the Jackal's head.
Is the government keeping secrets from us?
This is Stephen Bassett, and I am now a voice inside the Jackal's head.
Want to find out more? Listen to the Jackal's Head on the Soup Media Network.
The biggest trick the Jackal ever pulled was to convince the world that he doesn't exist.
And we're back here on InvestComics TV with Larry Lewis, who is the creator of Les and May. And Larry, how did you get started in this daily cartooning business?
Well, I think a lot of it is because of my father, who was a commercial artist. And he was, when I was born in 1928, he was an artist for the Toledo News-Bee in Ohio. But he got laid off due to the Depression. He was a young man at the time. And he did very little artwork after that. He was unemployed most of the Depression, but he encouraged me to an interest in cartooning. From about 5 years old, I had an interest, and he would buy the Sunday papers for me, usually the tabloid Chicago paper, which only cost, I think, a nickel at the time. And then I would walk a mile or so to my uncle's to get the Detroit paper, Sunday paper. And then some of the kind neighbors heard of my interest and started giving me their Sunday comics. So from that age on, I was an avid comics fan. During high school, I used to tell my friends and dates that someday I would have a comic strip. And I guess the power of positive thinking must have entered into it, because in 1969, I did sell a comic to the Newspaper Enterprise Association, a comic called Campus Clatter. They named it. I wanted to call it Doolittle College. They also had a contest among college newspaper editors to name some of the main characters. So at that time, the syndicates had complete control over the strips and the authors, and so actually at the time you had to accept their control, or you wouldn't get a contract.
Right. There were no independent comics, and there was no World Wide Web.
So that's right.
So the evolution from a 1969 campus comic to the 2011, 2010, I think is actually when you started, web comic. And I know that you had an intervening career in there. So how much of it was hobby right up until you got to Les and May?
Well, it was making a living up until then.
Oh, okay.
I did some editorial cartoons locally. Maybe I have to get back. Can you see that?
Yes.
That's an editorial cartoon, a type that I was doing. Was done on copio board. Another example. I also did sports cartoons, which were popular at one time.
Oh, very.
Also on copio board. And I did a lot of advertising work. Some covers. This was a cover for Michigan Runner. Also did some for Michigan Golf. And I freelanced and did advertising work. And in 1990, my wife showed the first symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. So I took care of her for roughly 15 years through her decline from Alzheimer's, and freelanced when I could during the time. Then I discovered webcomics and decided to do Les and May.
Mm-hmm.
Some examples. This is one of the most...
What I found interesting was that you give each of the panels a unique name. And it's, in many cases, it's quite clever.
Oh, yes. That's something that I think adds a little to the overall website.
I concur. Now, we're down to just about a minute and a half left in our allotted time, but I have to ask you about my favorite character in Les and May, which is May's mom.
Yeah.
Who is
Dolly Vitale?
Yeah, she's an 80-something floozy, for all intents and purposes.
Yes, feisty old lady.
Yep. And she rides with bikers and smokes constantly and apparently drinks quite a bit.
Les and May were pretty straight-laced characters, and so I thought I should add a little spice to the strip, and came up with Dolly.
So she is a chain-smoking version of Betty White, in my opinion, but
yes, she's one of the inspirations. Also, Rue McClanahan.
Absolutely.
Would be another.
And like I said, that's probably my favorite character, recurring character in the strip. Of course, you got the daily characters of Les and May, but you have a supporting cast that I think has taken a lot of your time to concoct and actually flesh out, if you will. So
yes.
At this point, I guess, because we're running out of time very quickly, I want to encourage anyone who can get on the web, and if you're watching this, you can, and go read Les and May, and it'll keep you busy for a couple of days just catching up. Larry, thank you very much for being with us here on InvestComics TV. It's, you may not realize it, but it's rare that we do a daily comics person. And I only choose what I consider to be the best. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome to InvestComics, and I'll look forward to a couple hundred more strips.
Oh, great. I do too.
All right. Thank you all for watching. This is Rick Osmond for InvestComics TV, and we'll see you next week.